And we're back like we never left. Oregon fans, what's going on? How we living? Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Ducks Dish podcast. I'm your host, Max Torres, publisher and lead editor of Ducks Digest, covering the Oregon Ducks over on Fan Nation, part of the Sports Illustrated Network. Got a really special episode for you guys today, whether you're listening or tuned in over on my YouTube channel at Oregon Football Max Torres. Got a big guest. Oregon Ducks offensive lineman Marcus Harper is on the show today. Marcus, how we doing, man? Thanks for being here.
Man, thanks for having me. No, I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm great. Like we were saying, the Ducks are starting spring ball here in the near future. It's Wednesday, March 13th, 2024, depending on when you guys are listening to this. But, man, really excited to have you on the show. Big season coming up for you guys in Eugene, heading to the Big Ten. So we're going to get into all of that and then some. But just to kind of get us started here, Marcus, if you could just do me a favor and just kind of reflect on your career at Oregon so far as you head into that senior season.
Yeah, I mean, my career at Oregon hasn't been a traditional career. So I came in during COVID in 2020, and then 21 I saw minimal action in special teams, and just as a competitor, the East hits you just because you can be out there on that field. And so when Coach Lannon came in 2022. I seized my opportunity in spring and kind of, showcase that, hey, I've been here for, what I thought at that time was a long time. I've been here for a while. I know I could play on this field. I know I could be a starting factor, a contributing factor to the football team. And so I took my opportunity when I saw it. And I mean, I never looked back. And then I've had over 20 something starts now leading into my senior year. I don't know the exact number, but, been a part of some great old lines ever since I've been in Oregon, from playing next to TJ Bass and Forsyth and getting to play next to JPJ last year. And then, just kind of capping off and finalizing and realizing, this is my turn now, my turn to kind of show that I'm the next top NFL talent coming out of Eugene. And so, yeah, it's been a long journey. It's been a journey worthwhile. Just seeing a lot of growth in myself and just seeing a lot of different changes from coaching changes to players, from players getting promoted up in the program, everything like that. And it's been a great journey. Something I've been very, very, very reflecting on a lot lately. A lot of things I've been proud of. And so, yeah, going into spring ball starting tomorrow, I'm just happy to kind of just get put the icing on the cake for whatever I'm finna cook in the season. So, I mean, I can't do nothing but just give all glory to God, number one, and I'm just happy, really.
Marcus, for the 2022 season opener against Georgia, I know the guys on the team probably wanted to, just get that one out of their memory, and Duck fans, I'm sure, wish that one would have gone another way. But for your journey in particular, I feel like that was a special game. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Stephen Jones went down with an injury in that game, and then you come in to kind of take over, and it really feels like you kind of just have had your hands on that starting left guard job now since then. So kind of just talk a little bit more about that moment, because it seems like you haven't looked back since.
Yeah, so you're almost right. So Ryan Walker got injured the first half of the game. Stephen Jones got injured the following week.
Okay.
Yeah. So Ryan goes down. And I mean, I was having great camp. I had a great spring ball earlier in spring that year, and then I had a great fall camp. And so I was just waiting for my number to get called. I knew I'd done all the preparation that I could up until that point. And I was making sure that, I was waiting to hear my number called. And so obviously we weren't up at any point in that game, unfortunately. So we go into the locker room, and Coach Clem, the offensive line coach at the time, he looks at me, he's like, "I know you're ready to go in. You said you're about to get thrown in there." And I was like, "Okay." And so I think I don't know. I think we had the ball first coming out, and got everybody from Forsyth to Bo were making sure like I knew everything and everything of that nature. So it kind of riled me up. And I never forget this moment. TJ Bass looks over to me. He's like, and if you know TJ is very like nonchalant, like very calm, cool, collected guy. And he looks over at me. He's like, "Let's just go play ball." And all the nerves I had built up kind of just let out in that moment. And like you said, everyone else, Ducks fans, were not like happy with the result. But for me, that was a very pivotal moment in my career. Just getting the first look at college action. And I mean, at the time they were the national champions or coming back that year. So I mean, what better way to get an intro to college football than with the national champions at the time? And so I just seized that opportunity and was just happy that it was against the Georgia Bulldogs. And like you say, never look back. Going into that next week, we play Eastern Washington, and then I get my first career start. And so, like you said, I haven't looked back, and yeah, just happy that it was even up until those 2 years, Scott. I'm pretty sure it was like 1,014 days from the time I last contributed like meaningful snaps in the football game until I got the Georgia start. And so I was just sitting there just waiting my turn. And like I said, when opportunity presented itself, I just took it and ran with it. So I was happy, obviously, like not happy with the result of the game, but the fact that like, okay, at that point, those 2 years they had paid off in terms of like just prep and seeing what everybody was going to do, seeing how the guys in front of me moved and how they trained and things of that nature, and adding that to my system, and seeing it kind of just pay off. And I mean, like I said, I just keep emphasizing the fact that I was happy because opportunities like that don't come around a lot. And when people take them, they don't go out the way they planned. And I mean, that was an opportunity for me to kind of win in my favor, so I was happy for it.
Marcus, you've clearly made the most of that opportunity to get to the point where you're at now, and let's fill in the gaps a little bit between getting that start and to this point in your Oregon career, because you come to Eugene as a member of the class of 2020. I'm looking at your profile right now, 3-star recruit out of Chicago.
Yep.
Can you just reflect a little bit on your development from kind of when you got to Eugene to now, because we're not in there lifting weights and in the locker room and everything with you. Just how would you kind of describe your development?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been like this hard worker, very diligent hard worker, very 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 just a very smart individual. I've always been like this, a very a leader, a guy that is always on this like P's and Q's. And so coming in that 2020 class, I mean, if you look back, like there were a lot of big names in that class, and I was not one of the highlighted names in that class, right? So you had the Justin Flows, you had the Noah Sewells, the Robbie Ashford, Dante Manning, and everything like that. So I just kind of just took that first year, that COVID year, shortened year, messed around and just kind of look at the lay of the land, look at what college football, kind of seeing what are people doing on a year-to-year basis to inevitably get pushed out to NFL, right? So I think who was there at the time? Tavon Thibodeau was there. Here, Verone McKinley, Anthony Brown, just seeing high-level guys and how they operate on a day-to-day basis. And so for me, it was just like, okay, finding what my system was, and then inevitably, how do I add, what do I need to put in my system to get my result that I want? And so up until those 2 years, it's kind of like just finding that system. And ever since you see me out on that field, it's been refining it. Whether that's mental prep, physical prep, just changing my body, things of that nature. Whether it's understanding, improving on my football IQ. And yeah, just a lot of different things in terms of like my overall just growth. I mean, I've just gotten stronger just over the years. Like O-lineman, every position is a position of development, but you see it the most with O-lineman just because like people's bodies are different year to year. Some people just gain, their natural just man strength just comes in as they get older. Excuse me. So I've just seen my personal development in terms of like my body, my mind, just my overall strength change. How I take care of my body has been a huge, has been a huge upside just as like the older I've gotten. College football is a gruesome business. You know what I'm saying? In terms of like just the amount that they ask of you on a day in and day out basis. And yeah, I was just one of those guys that kind of just caught on early, seeing how guys were taking care of their bodies. Obviously looking for it at the next level, just seeing how other guys in the NFL, how they take care of their bodies just to create longevity, and making sure that I'm not hitting my plateau at 21 years old, about to be 22. And I'm just kind of just hitting that start. And I've seen it paid off. I'm 21 years old, like I said earlier, and going into my 5th year. And I feel like I'm a freshman, like I'm walking in terms of like my body and things of that nature. So usually I've just studied a lot more as the years have gone by. I looked at a lot of older players and seeing what I can take from them, growing from them, and learning from their mistakes, and taking it and applying on my own. And I mean, now you see Big Mark here today. So it's been a consistent growth just all throughout the years.
You've certainly had a ton of really talented players around you to learn from. So sounds like you've just been a sponge. And then I really liked what you had to say about the importance of recovery, because we could do a whole different podcast on that and all the amazing technology that Oregon has to take care of the players. But let's look ahead now to the future a little bit. Right now you're heading into your senior season with the Ducks. And I just kind of wanted to ask you, what are some of the goals that you maybe have for your senior year? What are you hoping to get out of it? Because it's going to be a pretty big year for the Ducks.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we make the switch to the Big Ten, so that's a plus in itself, right? But for me personally, national championship is the number one thing. I mean, last year we played Washington twice and we fell short twice. And that's something that still is like lingers at us. And we know that we have the capabilities of being in, one point, literally, or one field goal, whatever it takes. And we're in the, we're potentially in the college football playoffs. And to kind of be on the outskirts of that, with the talent that we had on that team last year and looking at what we have this year, is like, man, we got to go get it. You know what I'm saying? Like we have to, it's imperative that we go get it. So like I said, just being the national champion would be a fantastic way to cap off my senior year, just because it wouldn't even be for me. It would be for, again, the guys I've learned from, Alex Forsythe that wouldn't have gotten the nod or didn't get the national championship run, the TJ Bass, the Ryan Walks, I'm gonna just go down a long list of guys that just didn't get the nod, the Salas, the Stephen Jones, the JPJs, all those guys that just didn't get the opportunity to be a part of that national championship would kind of be for them, and just capitalizing off of our first year being in the Big Ten. It would just make it so much more sweeter. So yeah, being a national champion is like just a priority.
Certainly be a huge deal if Oregon was able to get that first national championship under their belts. You talked about heading to the Big Ten, and this just kind of occurred to me. It almost doesn't feel like as much of a jump right now because the Pac-12 was so darn good last year. But tell me a little bit more about just kind of what your reaction was or what your thoughts are on going to the Big Ten and getting these games against Ohio State and the Michigans of the world.
Right. So we kind of had a taste of that. I believe that was 2021 when we went to Ohio State. And I mean, that environment was like a once in a lifetime experience. And to not saying that no Pac-12 games didn't, live up to that hype, because we definitely have had some matchups that equaled, if not exceeded, those matchups from Washington State in 2022 when we went up to Pullman. Both Washington's games last year. What was another game that lived to that magnitude? I would say I don't know.
Texas Tech was a good one.
Texas Tech was a great matchup, right? So, I mean, just opportunity. Oh, Colorado, I'm tripping. Yeah, Colorado was another great game that lived up to that magnitude. And so I guess to have that and to add on new rivalries, new matchups that you never have seen before, it's kind of a dream, because this is what you dream of when you were a kid and you play NCAA 14, and then you get the Oregon versus Michigan, or you get the Oregon versus Michigan State, and now that you get to do that and make that a reality, it's and to be the first Oregon team to be a part of that is something that's a surreal moment. And we were just happy. We were just looking at the challenge, right? Because not normally Pac-12 football is soft. Well, now that we get to go inevitably play with the big dogs and stuff like that, we can see how we match up with them. And this is another opportunity to just be excited for. And so I'm excited for it. Going against some of those Big Ten matchups on a weekly basis.
So we'll have Ohio State as a big game for the Ducks. Oregon State, that rivalry continues as well in the beginning of the season. Then you get to wrap up the season with a game against Washington. Right. Man, I cannot wait for this 2024 year, Marcus. One of the unique elements of this season for you and the rest of the guys in that offensive line room is you have a new coach on the staff in Ryan Walk. And what a unique opportunity that must be to be able to have a guy on the coaching staff that you were lining up right next to, or, replacing, right, in your instance in that one game. Just tell me a little bit about what it's like having him on the staff.
Yeah. I mean, Walk always was like another coach out there on that field. Very, 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 very smart individual. And just to kind of have him back in the O-line room, it was kind of the same feel when Coach Taylor brought back. It's another level of familiarity in the O-line room. A lot of young guys like Josh Connolly, Dave, Kavika, they were freshmen. Walk was a senior. So they just to see that maturation from them, and they know Walk and things of that nature. And so yeah, we're just all excited to have a guy who we looked up to, who we respect in a high regard back in our room. And it's just exciting just to have another familiar face. Again, like you said, a guy that I played with. I was actually roommates with him for his senior season for a little bit. So to get to have a familiar face is always good to have back in the O-line room.
I think that'll definitely help you guys. Just I don't know, maybe it'll help bridge the gap to some degree if like the coaches are saying something that maybe isn't completely resonating. That maybe just comes to mind as a way that he could help connect with you guys a bit more.
Yeah. It's always you always want that player to coach relationship to be intact. But there's some times where stuff gets miscommunicated, misinterpreted, and to have a guy that's been through very similar systems in both Coach Terry, and he had Coach Terry, Coach Mirabal, Coach Clem, and all those different things, and to him to kind of translate in the best way possible. Being a guy that's gone through all those different systems, it'll help a younger guy, a guy like Shaq out, just relate to those those early hiccups that you'll have just naturally just coming into college football. So it's like I said, we're more than happy to have Ryan walk in the room, back in the O-line room, because that's kind of that's the home for the guy. So
you've played for some really good offensive line coaches during your time in Eugene, Marcus. Obviously, getting started with Cristobal and Mirabal, and then Clem, and then now Alik Terry, who is just a little bit older than me. I'm 26, but I remember when he got hired, that was a really interesting one, and I think maybe one that not people were questioning, but they were just a little bit unsure because he was so young. And then now you see him in these Oregon videos where he's talking about, my favorite one is like when he was like, it's about the guys tonight. And he's just like crazy fired up. My gosh, I gotta get some of your thoughts on Coach Terry, because there's been no drop off between the 2022 O-line and the 2023 O-line. Probably got even better.
Yeah. So obviously, I don't know if most people know this. Coach Terry was a GA when I first got to college, right? So he kind of, I don't know if you know that he kind of evolved into being like my big brother unintentionally. And so to kind of see him grow and mature, and he got the job in Hawaii, I think, in 21, and then he kind of came back for a split second and got the job in Minnesota, and then he finally came back, and now he's my coach. So to kind of see that maturation, to see how our relationship has grown year to year, and to kind of see him grow into this position is kind of, I mean, one, it's not a surprise at all. Like the one thing that makes him different, when he was a GA, he was doing the same things that we were doing. So we were doing the 110, he was running them with us, right? And that's one of the things that I've always respected about him, is that he really was like, he was another player, inevitably, right? And I mean, just to see him, I know a lot of people a year ago had their knocks on again because of his age and because of the uncertainty with him. But I'm pretty sure a year later, he's proven, without a shadow of a doubt, that he can produce a great offensive lineman at a high level, for a high caliber team. And I ain't got nothing but love for Coach Terry, and I'm more than happy that he's my coach.
You always know you're going to get the energy with Coach Terry. There's no doubt about that one. Talking with Oregon offensive lineman Marcus Harper II on the Ducks Dish podcast. Appreciate you guys tuned in wherever you're tuned in. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. A couple more for you, Marcus. I mean, I could talk to you all day, but I know you got other stuff going on. Oregon's become a factory for offensive linemen. You mentioned Panay. Obviously, Jackson Powers Johnson is looking like the next one in line for this year's group. Stephen Jones as well. He was out there at Pro Day. I know you're making your case to be one of those linemen, but I'd love to pick your brain a bit more about the team's new center, Iapani Pancho Laulo Ulu. I hope I got that one right. I know everyone just calls him Pancho. But what's it been like just getting to see him mature, and what do people kind of need to know about Pancho?
Yeah, very smart guy, very funny guy. He has a lot of great tools in his toolbox. Obviously, learning from JPJ last year, and just learning from all the older guys in the room from his time being there. And just a very smart, instinctual guy. One of those guys that you can kind of again fill in when JPJ didn't play in the bowl game, and we didn't miss a beat. And just look for obviously continue just growth and maturity in him. So Pancho's a great player and great person to play next to, and more than happy to have him in our O-line room, obviously.
He seems like he's a bit more of a soft-spoken guy, but I think his play does speak volumes, as cliche as that sounds. I mean, it's not easy for a guy that is a younger offensive lineman, I think, to step into that center role. And I think that's something that you could obviously speak to, right? Because I think you have some experience snapping, even if you haven't necessarily seen some game action there.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, center is very much a position that most people take for granted, right? But to kind of step in as he did with the fluidity and ease that he seamlessly did with the position. I mean, you obviously expect nothing but growth from it in years to come, and just this season. So I mean, obviously that's what spring ball's for, and so we're very excited to have Pancho and just see his maturation and his growth. So nothing but love for Pancho.
And then the last one that I wanted to ask you, Marcus, is just kind of setting the tone for where the Oregon offensive line is at right now as the team goes into spring practice. You have a lot of veterans coming back, like yourself, Eugene. You also have Josh, but you bring in a guy like Matthew Bedford from Indiana, and then some of these younger guys. What's the mindset? What's the mood in that O-line room right now with practice kicking off?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're just excited to go out there and compete. Like O lineman is a gritty position. It's one of those positions where you gotta enjoy the grind. You gotta enjoy obviously being in uncomfortable positions on the regularity. You gotta enjoy hitting somebody every single play. And so we're just excited to get back in the flow of that. We've been in off-season training for about 9 weeks now, and we're kind of ready to just let loose and go compete. And so with spring ball kind of being ready to launch off in less than 24 hours, we're more than excited for the opportunity that's ahead of us. And yeah, we're just excited to mess around and just go and fly around and be back out there. And we hope that you guys get to just enjoy the show and just enjoy the process along the way. So we're just happy and we're excited to get back out there.
Going to be fun to watch, no doubt about that. We know that the Ducks like to bring it at the point of attack. Just to wrap it up here, Marcus, we hit on so much good stuff here from your individual journey from Chicago to Oregon, and then now trying to make that next leap out of your senior season. Anything else you wanted to add here that we didn't maybe get to talk about that you want people to know about Marcus Harper or just what the Ducks have going right now?
Yeah, no, I mean, we kind of hit every point. I mean, just excited to see the Ducks. And I mean, just more so on myself on a personal level, just excited to kind of cap off a senior season. I know I've been a guy that's been on that line and, hasn't been a focal point, but I mean, I've been here for, like I said, 2 years now, about 2.5, 3 years now going on this line. And just making sure like, there's another guy in that line that ain't nobody said nothing about, but he's here making some noise as well. So just wanted to make sure that, man, me and the Ducks, we're just more than excited to get ready for the 2024 spring ball. And we're just excited to go out there and make plays and fly around. So just everybody just stay tuned and just watch the journey just grow.
And then where can people find more of you, Marcus, if they want to connect with you or, just follow your journey? You just want to give you a chance to plug any platforms there.
Yeah, I mean, you can just follow my social medias. Obviously, my Instagram is BigMark73_. And my Twitter is Marcus2_H. And so, yeah, any of those social platforms, like you see over there, you can just go ahead and get those a follow. And then you just see more of me and my personal journey and what I'm all about. So I appreciate you for real.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, make sure you guys tap in with Marcus and give him a follow. If you want to find more of me, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at mtorresports. Subscribe to my YouTube channel at Oregon Football Max Torres. And then you read me over on ducksdigest.com. But want to give a huge thank you again to Marcus for coming on and letting me tell part of his story. And thank you to you guys for tuning in. But until next time, you've been listening to another episode of the Ducks Dish Podcast.